So, like I said, hopefully everyone felt welcome today when you came into the house um, with breakfast prepared and friendly smiles. We hope you got a smile. And if you need a hug before you leave, we got that too, okay? And so we're here for your comfort. Please let us know what we can do to make you comfortable today. But just know that you're always welcome in the house of the Lord, first of all. And then we thank you for taking out of your busy schedule to come and share with us today. Sister Vickers.
Again, we thank you for your presence here today. My name is Ina Finley, and I'm one of the faith community nurses here at Galilee. And I just wanted to add a few things. First of all, that this particular presentation is right on time for any one of us because life changes rapidly. And so today we're going to talk about wills. We're going to talk about making decisions at end of life according to someone's desire. And we're going to talk about planning for when we are deceased. Our goal is that you start this conversation with your loved ones, that you pick a time and a place that you can introduce it into the conversation so that you're not caught off guard. You have a folder. In your folder, you have two things I want to call your attention to. One is this circle here. We are partnering with Methodist Hospital, and the model for healthy living is in this circle. Our faith intersects all of these areas of our life. In your folder, fill that out to where you feel you are at this particular time in your life, in your faith life, in your movement, in your medical life, and then connect them and see where you need to improve. The other thing is that you have evaluation at the end. As you go over to get your box lunch, please have that evaluation filled out and present it to us as you exit. We thank you again for coming. Our restrooms for the visitors are in the rear, men on the left, ladies on the right. Feel free to utilize. We're on a strict time schedule, so we want you to please adhere. If you need to step out, it's fine. But we're trying to stick with our time schedule because we are so gracious to have on this Saturday before Mother's Day those who are coming out sharing with us. Thank you.
Good morning. Oh, it's so good to be in the house of the Lord. I will be reading to you the bio of the Honorable Judge Valencia Nash, Justice of the Peace, Precinct 1, Place 2. Now, I cut some of mine out, but you have her whole bio in your folder, okay? Because she has somewhere to be after this. So, now, Judge Nash was sworn into office January the 2nd, 2007, and presides as Justice of the Peace for Precinct 1, Place 2. Precinct 1 is a large area in the southern part of Dallas County, which includes South Dallas, Oak Cliff, Lancaster, Wilma, Hutchins, DeSoto, Duncanville, and Glen Heights. She was selected as the first administrative judge for justices of the peace in Dallas County in 2023. Now, Judge Nash was born and raised in Dallas, Texas, in the Highland Hills community, and attended Wilma Hutchins High School. Oh, who said that? Okay. Highland Hills in the house, Wilma Hutchins in the house. She graduated from the University of Houston with a Bachelor of Science degree in political science and received her Juris Doctorate degree from Thurgood Marshall School of Law at Texas Southern University in Houston, Texas. Oh, listen. Judge Nash is licensed and has practiced law in Florida, Georgia, and Texas. She has practiced in the areas of environmental law and justice, family, juvenile law, landlord tenant law, construction law, and litigation. On November the 3rd, 2008, Judge Nash was appointed to the Texas Judicial Council by Chief Justice Wallace B. Jefferson of the Supreme Court of Texas and has been appointed by the Chief Justice of the Supreme Court 7 times. Judge Nash is currently the president of the Thurgood Marshall School of Law Alumni Board. She has been re-elected to the office of Justice of the Peace, Precinct 1, Place 2, for 5 terms to serve until 2026. Judge Nash created a monthly legal clinic for senior citizens in Precinct 1 to assist with legal preparation and prevention. Additionally, she has a program for students entitled Talk Time with Judge Nash to empower students to take positive action to effect change in their school and dialogue on better decision-making. Judge Nash is married to Mr. Melvin W. McShann, and they have twin daughters, Madeline and McKenna. They attend Friendship West Baptist Church, where Dr. Frederick D. Haynes III is their pastor. I now present to you Judge Valencia Nash, Justice of the Peace, Precinct 1, Place 2. Okay.
Thank you so much, Ms. Vickers. I appreciate being here. It's good to be wanted, and I apologize that I can't be with you longer today. I have another speaking engagement in Lancaster, but again, it's like I told them before, it's good to be wanted. So I want to talk to you briefly, and this is not really a brief topic. This is a very important topic about estate planning. I want to shout out my Sarahs in the audience. I see Sarah, Bobby Sanders, and hi, Sarah. Is that okay? I thought that was another one of my Sarahs over here. But anyway, it's good to be here. So I'm going to jump right in, and I want you to have questions, and let's just have a dialogue. Let's just make it interactive so that we are all clear and understand that we all should be taking care of our estate planning, okay? So how many of you in here have a will? How many already have your will? All right, that's really good. That's about half of you. So the rest of you, we're going to work on that starting this week, okay? All right, so how many of you that have wills do you go and review your will once a year? Okay, good. All right. So we got some winners in here. But let me just tell you, please, the great thing about estate planning, and I gave a few of you a handout. Ms. Vickers has a copy. She's going to make additional copies. And I have what estate planning is. And estate planning is the process of anticipating and arranging during a person's life for the disposal of their estate. Bless you. Estate planning can be used to eliminate uncertainties over the administration of a probate and to maximize the value of the estate by reducing taxes and other expenses. Basically, save you some money. It saves not you because we'll be gone, but you want to save your family the time and expense, okay? So this is a good thing. On the second page, if you got this, I have my cousin is Cynthia Allen. So she does a lot of family law, but she does estate planning, but we use the same paperwork. I used to be in their office before I took the bench. So I just put her information in there in case, again, you don't have to use her, just a lawyer in case you have a different information and you need the preparation of your will. So again, what happens is when you have your final estate, what you want to think about is the state of Texas has done something a little bit different now. What they've done is the biggest part of your estate. Who can tell me the biggest asset of your estate? Your home. So now the legislature, so that you don't have to go to probate for that, they have what they call a transferred on death deed. Anybody heard of that? How many? Okay. How many of you have one? Do it. Do it this week. There's forms online for you to prepare it yourself. Now, I am a lawyer, but I'm not telling you not to get a lawyer, but everybody doesn't want to have to afford a lawyer. So I want to talk to you about things you can do to not have to, but you can do it on your own because I want to take away the excuse of you not having your estate planning done. So the transfer on death deeds are online. And you want to go to a reputable source, so the state of Texas has the form. What is a transferred on death deed? What it does is it transfers your property, right? It doesn't transfer it right now, but it has the effect of you giving your son, your daughter, or splitting it one half, one half. You can do it how many ways you want, but you can transfer that. It's still your home, but you have to file it at John Warren's office. How many of you know John Warren? John Warren is the county clerk. That's where all your documents are. You know him, huh? I know that's right. I know John too. But that's where all of your documents are, when it comes to your property. So if you transfer, if Sarah Sanders transfer her property to her son, and she does it 100% to her son, which she can, and she files it at John Warren's office, he doesn't even have to know. But what happens is, on the passing, you take your certificate of death, and then you don't have to go to probate for that. So that's already done. So they're going to transfer that based on the fact that you transferred it before while you were alive, and you did so legally, and that way it's out of probate. So if that's the only asset she had, it's all good, right? So what I'm trying to do today, and what I want you to take away from this, is what can I do? I'm not telling you not to have a will. A will is important, and I'll get to that. So the one thing I want all of you to do if you're owning a home is to look at the transfer on death deed. Now, I want you to be clear on who you want it to go to. And if you're not clear, it's okay if you don't do it, but you want to consider doing that if you already know who you want to transfer it to. Because this is not the kind of thing that I want you to look at annually, going back and forth, transferring after. You just don't want to do that. You can, but we want you to be certain on, and you have to. So those of you who have a will, I want you to always look at your date of birth. So every birthday year, or you can say every Christmas, every Easter, you pick a date. Once a year, just like I do. So I always get my mammogram during my birthday. It makes sense. So you go for your physical. We just do it all the time. The girls the same way. So pick a day. So that's when I review all of my assets. So if you have retirements, if you have all those things, you want to review your beneficiaries at least once a year, okay? So you want to do that because people pass away, okay? People divorce. And let me just get into that. I know I'm all over the place because this is so exciting to me. But I had a couple, a lady, I was her attorney. She and her husband divorced like 10 years before. Well, his company did not provide that once on divorce, then you don't get the benefits. Do you know his benefits went to the ex-wife? So what I'm telling y'all is make sure that you're looking at that. I mean, of course, divorce is tough. And we don't always think about, let me look at my paperwork. We just don't. We always think about the big things, insurance. Oh, he's on the life insurance or whatever the case. And those things typically will deny the person after you divorce. But some employers don't have a way where it invalidates your beneficiary, you being a beneficiary. So you want to look at all of your documents, okay? So if you are employed, you want to once a year, and do it all at the same time, review your will, review your 401ks, everything that has a beneficiary on it, okay? And so when we talk about wills, we're talking about things that are not contractual. So when you have an employer says, well, who is your beneficiary? And if you say, my mom is my beneficiary, well, then that's it. The will cannot provide that somebody else is because it's contract. So it's going to pass under the contract. What the will does is take care of any assets that you have not transferred. So again, for those of you, because I know all of you are going to do the transfer on death deed, but if you didn't do it, the will would transfer that property to whomever you want. The importance of having a will is that it identifies who your beneficiaries are. If you pass away without a will, you're going to have to spend an additional $300 or so to do a determination of heirship. Who wants to do that? Nobody wants to do that. So in a will, when you identify your beneficiaries, you've saved already $300, okay? Thank you. And you had a question, yes.
So I was talking to my son. You said a transfer. Shouldn't he has like 3 kids? Shouldn't he, for his house, instead of occurring the children, if something should happen to him, shouldn't he leave that in a trust? That way they don't incur the additional taxes that would be transferred.
Trust are ideal. And now I don't do trust, I'm not as familiar, but trusts are ideal because you can do them during the lifetime and they have better tax consequences for sure. So if you can get somebody who can provide you a trust, that's a wonderful thing. You can be the trustee of the trust. You can do that. But a lot of times people don't want to fool with it, and then you have to hire a trustee. Then it becomes money that you have to pay to a trustee. You got to make sure it's somebody who's going to be honest and manage the funds correctly. So again, a lot of us, and I'm talking about the Black community, we want to make sure our money is going to be spent how we want it to be spent. And so if you pass away, the trust is good while you're alive because you can oversee that. And you want to ensure, and if you just got a ton of money, then of course you can hire somebody to manage that. But again, I want to try to save us, money and how we can do things streamlined without the necessity of being extravagant. Okay? Yes.
Question. I was trying to get the correct name for my sister, but my brother, we had a meeting, a family meeting, and he told us about another will that could override a living will. What's the name of that will?
So there is, so a lot of people, the will is the will.
Is it living trust?
I don't know another will, but if you're talking about a will, is just the last will and testament. And then there's a trust, which are called living trust during your lifetime. Those are trusts, but I'm not sure if I'm clear.
It saves the time spent in court, going to a probate court. That it overrides that you can allocate certain things.
Yes, so even a will, a last will and testament, what you can do in that will is called a muniment of title. So a muniment of title, if you put that in your will that you don't want probate to your will probated, it still has to go through the court. But it has to tell the court that you don't want them to administer. You just want this will to be read as is and the property to pass as is. And you're making the house a muniment of title, which means that there isn't anything else they need to do. So yes, that's language that you all want inside of your will if you have one, is that your property is a muniment of title, so that way they can take that, John Warren's office, transfer that over. But remember, if you do the transfer on death deed, you don't have to worry about that. So again, I want to encourage you to do that. The other thing I want to talk to you about, things you can do right away, right now. Guess what? At your bank, whether it's Chase, Bank of America, Wells Fargo, how many of you have a payable on death, a POD? All right. Sorry, Sanders, you've been listening to me, haven't you? All right. So I need y'all to have a pay on death. That simply means it's a beneficiary of your estate. They cannot see your money, okay? They can't get in there. They can't transfer anything. But on death, the first thing we need is to pay the funeral home. And we're like, who got the money? And we're like, well, if you tell the bank that the person passed away, what are they going to do? Freeze that account as fast as you could say go. Before you leave out of there, that account is frozen, and you can't get access. So, again, you want to trust your kids to do the right thing, but I understand you not giving them your PIN number, okay? I understand. And so what you want to do is make sure, and that's easy, but you do have to go into the bank. You can't do it online. You have to go into the bank, provide your identification, and do a beneficiary for your accounts, your savings, your check, all of your accounts can have a paid on death. They cannot see it, they cannot get it, but on your death, they can present that death certificate, and they should not be giving you a hard time about getting that money because you show your ID, the certificate of death, they should be cleaning that out, and no need for you to have, they'll say, I need a court order. No, they do not. They do not need a court order. You have already taken care of your business. So make sure that's something you can do very easily this week. Run to that bank, and it shouldn't take long. Ask for a POD, get it signed, get it in there. And and I think Bank of America, what they'll do every year is say, do you need to update your beneficiary? So I get a message. I don't know how Chase does it, but depending on your account, some of them will come. If you still get the paper statement, it'll put POD and it'll tell you who the names are. So again, just make sure you're looking at that. Sorry, Sanders, you had a question? Yeah, all of your accounts. Absolutely. And it's just, again, a way to save you from having to go before the court. It is a lot. Your kids, your beneficiaries, it is, and then, those fights that happen. So if you go ahead and put down who's supposed to have what, and those family meetings won't be so tense. And I tell you, it's just one of those things that, and you are not required to share your will with anybody. You can do your will on your own and put that thing. And let me just tell you this, and a lot of people, you may have your will at home. It costs $5 to go to the county at 1201 Elm Street, 22nd floor. For $5, they will take that will for safekeeping. So you want to have your, because what if your house burns down? What if they find it and John said, well, I'm not in there. I'm going to tear it up. I'm going to take it. It's lost. It's stolen. $5. You can file your will with Dallas County for safekeeping. If I go and look under Miss Vickers, I'm just going to see that there is a will deposit. I'm not going to see her will. I'm just going to see that she deposited one. And that's a good thing, because when we are gone, as all of us going out of here, when I'm gone, you're going to be able to say Valencia Nash deposited the will, and then whoever the person is that I've made the executor or any attorney can, or one of the beneficiaries can move that will to the court so that it can be probated. And so probate is not a bad word. It's a bad word if you didn't do the will or you didn't do the other necessary steps. But all it means is that they're going to take the documents you have and make it so. Make it so. So it's the Renaissance Tower. So they're still over there. Probate courts are still housed at 1201 Elm Street. It's the real tall building. It's called the Renaissance Tower, but that's where you can file it for $5 at the desk. And it's called, I want to, file my will for safekeeping. And they keep it and index it and deposit it, but nobody can, it's your original will. It has to be your original will. And so that's a good thing to do. And so, but if you know you're constantly making changes, and people do, I mean, let's be honest, we have some adult children that, sometimes they're doing right, sometimes they're not. And sometimes you just have to make some hard decisions and you have to make some changes, okay? And that's okay. And so you should look on your birthday, that's my date, on your birthday every year, let me see, did Aunt Jane, did she pass away? We need to take Aunt Jane out and add somebody else or not. So we want to update the will. You can't exclude, if you have children and you want to exclude somebody, you can do that. But you have to say, if I have child A, B, C, you have to say my children are A, B, C. However, C is not at this time, is not getting anything in the will. So it doesn't matter if you put C is not getting anything, but you have to add C. If you leave C out, C can contest the will and say, oh, mom just forgot. She, and you don't want that. So you got to list everybody there. And I know that, even if you had 5 husbands, it's okay. If you had 5 husbands, you have to list those 5 husbands and whether you had children with those husbands or not. So again, you want to put everybody in your will so that there is no problem with somebody trying to contest it. That's what you don't want. You don't want your will invalidated. So you want to follow a template, and they have a million of them online. And y'all are very computer savvy. You can get on there, and again, if you don't want to pay the expense of someone preparing it, prepare it yourself. Just make sure you follow the rules, meaning having 2 disinterested witnesses, having the notary there, all at the same time. You don't have anything to worry about. Okay, and so now let me see if what we reviewed. So you are going to have, go to your bank and you're going to do your POD. For those of you who have home ownership, you're going to do your transfer on death deed. Okay, you're going to get a will prepared, right? Everybody on it? Okay, all right. So yes. No, not at all. John Warren's office. He's the county clerk. And John Warren's office is at 500 Elm Street, 2nd floor. Yes, ma'am.
If you only have one, adult kid, do you still have to, if you do a trust on deed,
Transfer.
on deed, and you only got one, should you still do that? Or
Absolutely, because they're going to still have to, how is anyone going to know that's your son? Unless you find some paperwork. And if you don't want to give it to him and you wanted to give it to Aunt Mary, you can give it to whoever you want to give it to. And so, but you want to identify who you're being. It just doesn't make sense that they make you go through a whole rigmarole. They will even hire another lawyer, which is called an ad litem, to say they have to go search for your heirs. You don't want to pay that kind of money for that. I mean, I always say that, the probate process is just really not for our community. It's just too expensive. And so you have to figure out ways. And this is why these conversations are very necessary to see how we can get out of that matter, and let's find a way that we can do it today if we wanted to. And that's what I'm here for. So yes, it's not about, you having to pay somebody a lot of money to do it. We want to make sure that you have a way to take care of it, so there's no excuse why we can't take care of our estate planning. Okay? And so moving on to the other necessary document. What else y'all think I want to talk about? Power of attorney. So I can leave here and on my way to Lancaster and be involved in a serious car accident. And if I don't have, I'm married, so, Melvin certainly is a person who can speak up for me, but maybe Melvin is just not one who's going to be, able to speak to the doctor. Maybe he's nervous. Maybe he just can't handle that. And you have to really be honest about who can handle your affairs, because everybody in your life cannot. I have twins. One of them is very outspoken and outgoing, and one is, a little bit shy and timid, and everybody's just not the same. So you have to identify those individuals in your life who can make some tough decisions. For me, I like quality of life. My mom had a feeding tube, and so it was, I go off of the recommendation of a doctor, but I ask a million questions. And so you have to decide, but somebody else, my sister, is not going to want a feeding tube. And when you come to those kinds of things, you have to have a real conversation. Those family meetings, you have to have them. It's important to have a family meeting so that you can explain to your children or to whomever, this is what I want, this is what I don't want. I knew my mom didn't want to go to a nursing home. Certainly, I think if I had to, she would have understood, but I just know my mom. And so as much as we could, we got a caregiver, but everybody can't don't ever feel bad if you have to go to a nursing home. You just want, like my sister said, my sister doesn't have kids. She said, just find me the best one they have. The best one, clean, and come check on me sometime. And, and that's okay. So I'm just saying, be realistic when you talk about your affairs in your end of life. We all are going, but we in the church, so we already know there's life after, right? So I'm just saying, don't get, people get nervous about end of life. But if you know where you're going, and you know who's, I'm sorry. I didn't mean to start preaching. But you just got to. And the one thing I tell people, don't wait until the doctor says you have cancer. Don't wait until, you're 90. Just go ahead and do it today. While you're good, you're healthy, you're clear. There's no pressure, and again, my aunt, when I went down to do her will, she invited her daughters. My aunt cried so hard, and I was just like, Aunt Daisy, you do not have to have your kids in here. You don't, there's no requirement. It was so much pressure on her because they wanted to say, well, Mom, you shouldn't do that. No, be clear. Think about it. You don't have to go rush and do something that you don't want to, but be clear. Who's going to do this? After that family meeting, you'll have a better understanding of who needs to do what. So what I'm saying to you is ensure that you're clear on whether you want, I tell people this all the time, when you're intubated and it looks like that's it. You got to know your medical personnel. I will tell you, healthcare is not where it used to be at all. So you got to make sure that you're there with your loved one if they're experiencing a medical emergency to ask the questions. Google it if you have to, but have a list of questions. Is there a chance? My aunt, after being intubated, lived 6 or 7 years later. So you got to be clear. You don't want to just take them off. But, y'all remember the Terry Schiavo case. That woman was on that tube for 20 years? And there was no brain activity? So let's be reasonable. I know none of you probably want to sit and live a life like that. So you got to tell your kids, don't you do it. Don't have me just because for what? So we can't be selfish and say, I want X, Y, and Z. So choose the selfless child or selfless person to make some good decisions for you, okay? Any other, yes. Thanks for bringing that up. Yes. And that's exactly what I'm talking about now, and it's called a do not resuscitate. So the DNR is a do not resuscitate order. It's that whether you get a feeding tube. So, like, for instance, my mom ended up with breast cancer, and unfortunately, she had already had strokes where we couldn't treat the cancer. And so for her, it made sense to do a DNR because they will press on your chest. You know the code. I don't know how many of you understand that that is a whole lot of pressure and a whole lot of electricity to bring you back to life. And so you have to ask yourself, do you want that? But in some instances, if the doctor recommends it, you want to go with it. If they don't, you don't. And so the DNR says, and you have to be careful signing DNR, but there is a whole instruction page that goes in front of it. And the Texas government has a great website, and I'll send it to you, Ms. Vickers, but you can fill that out when you're ready, because again, every circumstance doesn't require a DNR. And so you want to have it, but you want to be careful having them at the hospital because it doesn't always mean that you don't want to be brought back. So it's a full code, meaning that, to save your life, but also DNR means blood transfusions. Everybody doesn't believe in blood transfusions. Well, I had to have one. And so again, for life-saving times, you may have to have some difficult decisions. And so again, some things are case by case. So I don't want you to exclude yourself. And so again, you want to go with the doctor and the recommendations and know what's going on. But DNR says, I don't want any life-saving treatment. Let my body be. I don't want, if I'm, my brain doesn't have any activity. I don't want feeding tubes. But you can check off things on a DNR that suggest that, still you're going to live a great life. But for now, you're not able to swallow. So you need a tube, Again, yes. Okay. Oh, okay. Okay. All right. No problem. So I was talking about also the power of attorney and why it's necessary in making sure. Some people ask me all the time with the power of attorney, this is the person that handles your affairs. So they'll pay your bills, they'll pay your mortgage, they take care of you, they have access to be able to, your checkbook, all of that. So the person with power of attorney, some people say, well, do you need, should I put both of my kids? What do you think I say? No, don't you dare. Because guess what? Johnny's going to say yes. Mary's going to say no, and then you don't have a power of attorney. So you got to choose one. I know you want to be fair, and that's most parents. I want all my kids, and that's okay, but all your kids can't make all the decisions. And you know very well, if you're realistic with yourself, all of those kids are not making the best decisions or the decisions that you would make for yourself. So all I'm saying is make sure you choose that. And I think y'all probably going to go into the medical power of attorney, which is different than the regular power of attorney. And I see my cousin's best friend back there. Hey, Deborah's best friend. That one too. Okay, so you want to make sure that the medical power of attorney is that person that makes medical decisions for you, so you can have that as well. And those forms are also online as well. And so is there any other questions about the will, any of that? Because I think, yes. But the power of attorney is only in effect when you're alive. Thank you for saying it. The will takes effect. So you got a document in life and a document for afterlife. So you need it. And if you decide to go get a package from an attorney, you want a package. You want to include your power of attorney, your medical power of attorney, your DNR if necessary, and your will. So those are 4 major documents that you should have. Then people say, well, I don't want to sign over my rights. Well, the power of attorney is durable. That means that it operates when you are not able to. But when you are able to, you have full rights and privileges to act on your own behalf. But this is just a document just in case. And that's what we want to think about, and that's what I want to leave you with, is just in case it happens, let's make sure that we're prepared. So we are preparing today for tomorrow. Yes, ma'am.
Every time you walk in the hospital, you get that they said, do you have an advance directive? What's the difference?
So the advance directive is the life-sustaining treatment options. And I think she said that they're going to talk about that. So again, it's whether you want to be on life support, if you want to, those directives to where, what do you want us to do if you code? What if you want us to do? So I believe that a medical personnel is going to be talking about that. So yes, that's what they're talking about. Yes.
Is it expensive
And they're not going to tell you do not resuscitate just because it sounds so strong. So going to court on the wheel is the filing fees are not too bad, but it's when you have to, have different filings where I was talking about you got to identify the beneficiaries and the attorney. See, probate court doesn't let you come in there without a lawyer. So you can't represent like you can in my court and Judge Jones's court. You can come in there and represent yourself, because we have the people's court, but in probate court, you're required to have a lawyer. That's where your expenses come from, is the lawyer costing $500 an hour. So that's why you want to do these methods to avoid the expense. Yes, ma'am.
Okay, Judge Nance, I wanted to ask you, is it important to give your executive estate and your medical power of attorney copies of that? I know you said put one at the...
For safekeeping. That's a good question. So the question is, do you give, I have recommended that you give your executor, which is the person who's going to handle giving your estate out, a copy. It's nothing wrong with that because you're trusting that person to do what they need to do with it. So there's nothing wrong with that. And I think it's always good to give it over. I also think it's good inside of this little packet, it has inventory. And I want you all to take an inventory, and it's for a couple of things. When Judge Jones and myself and Constable Gully go out to WellMed, to the senior centers, we always want seniors, and this is for everybody, to go into your home and make a copy of everything, especially your electronics. When a break-in is experienced, the first thing they're going to do is jewelry and electronics. What will be even advantageous if you take a camera and just make a photo of your serial numbers on your televisions, your computers, all of that. And if you have a list of your serial numbers, that'd be great. Take a picture of your jewelry, that would be great. Because if you have a break-in, what happens is it's really good to just have that document handy. And so even if you keep it at your office or at a loved one's house, it's always good to have an inventory of all of your major property so that you will be able to, for insurance companies or the police, to be able to identify that. So that is in here as well. It also helps your executor to identify. So maybe Big Mama left you some property in Elysian Fields, and if you got some property in Elysian Fields, nobody may have known, and you've been paying the taxes on it, then we know now that there's some interest in some Elysian Fields property or some Gilmer mineral rights. Those things are all property. And so people or your kids may not know that because you just take care of it. And so all those things are very important to put in an inventory. It's really nice. And that's something all of you can do on Monday. It's just list out everything you have, everything of value, so that you can have that for so many different purposes. It's the same way I tell my seniors, make sure that medicine list and the doctor's numbers are on the refrigerator, so that if the ambulance ever has to come, your dosage and all of that is written right there. So it's just some real basic information that all of us can do any day, all day. So, yes. The which one? Lady Bird deed. That's the transfer on death deed. Mm-hmm. Yes, it's the transfer on death deed. And it just happened. It's not an old concept, but the legislature saw it was costing way too much to transfer property. It just shouldn't be.
And it prevents that if a person is on Medicaid or Medicare, that it prevents the state from taking their property.
Oh, you're talking about the one for when you're trying. Okay, so sometimes when a loved one, you're trying to make a decision on them going to a facility. And you have to, you can't own property in Texas if you're trying to get, Medicaid. You have to basically have no assets. And so there is a year, I don't know a whole lot about it, but there is a number of years, and I want to say 5 years, that you cannot transfer because they look at it as fraudulently transferring for the sake of obtaining governmental benefits. Thank you. And that's a good to know, because people have a very hard time that, if you're on Medicaid, you can get complete assistance. Medicare is different. My mom was a teacher. There wasn't, they didn't pay in Social Security. It was very difficult. So it was a lot of private pay, and it's very expensive, as you know, to care for caregivers. And so with that, Medicaid prevents you from transferring assets of value to basically get to a point where you meet the eligibility. And so be very careful about that because, yeah, that can land you in a lot of trouble. So again, you want to kind of talk to somebody about those resources. There are some, I think, Senior Source and some other resources I believe y'all have over there already. But it's just not an easy thing. But you have to think about, long-term disability, all of those things that you may be eligible for. It's a good thing to get because we're all gonna, age, and we have to think about tomorrow. So thank you for bringing that up.
Do you have to get the permission to get life insurance on children that's not your grandchild or?
Okay, so that's a little different. Some insurance companies operate different. I know sometimes we'll have a sibling or we'll have an adult who is not taking care of themselves, in the world of drugs and all of that. 18 and below? There are some insurance companies that'll let you get insurance on anybody as long as you pay the premium. And so I just think it depends on which insurance you're going through. But you can basically find an insurance company who will insure anybody. And some will ask relationship, and some because some people don't want to get into it. But if you're paying the premiums for that, and you basically are the policy owner, then I don't see why you really couldn't. Okay. Any other questions before I yield my time? It has been wonderful. I hope I taught you something today. All right. Oh yes, sure.
My question is, suppose you have a will, you're married, you have a will, but your husband doesn't have a will. This is a community property state.
It is.
So how would that work? And the other question is, quickly, if you don't have a will, your properties don't automatically transition to the next of kin
Correct.
all the time.
Okay, those are two wonderful questions because I used to be a divorce lawyer. So, community property state Texas is, and that means that when you're doing a will, it's only the things that you own. So remember, you can't really give away what you don't have. So when you're talking about a marital home, 50% of that is yours, 50% is his, or however. And so what you are giving away is what interest you have. So remember, I talked about the property in Elysian Fields. A lot of times that's family property, and you may have a third interest. So when you're giving away your interest, you're only giving away what you have. So again, if you have a blended family, it makes sense to have a will. Because what people say was, I don't want his kids to get my. Well, if that's not what you want, then you better get it in. Am I telling the truth, though? Sister Hall laughing. I'm telling the truth. But, you got to make sure you have it down because, again, you may have wanted that to pass to your heirs or your grandchildren from your child. But what happens is, in Texas, because it's community property, the husband, if you are married from the time of marriage to the time of divorce, all of that you accrued together is called community property. So you're entitled to a share. He's entitled to a share. If y'all are in a car wreck together, different story, but if he survives you by a certain time period, then the property that you have could very well pass to him. And then if he dies 5 days later, then guess what? All of that property is going to go to his heirs. So you have to make sure that you lay out that, but you can only give away the interest that you own. So just making sure of that. And also the probate process, if you don't have a will, what happens is the state of Texas has laws of intestacy. And so what that means is you still have to go to probate, and instead of you being an executor, the person will be an administrator. So any of your beneficiaries can apply for probate, and what happens is they look and see if you had husband, they start their spouse, then children, then parents, so there's laws of intestacy, so it passes that way. But again, you have to do the determination of heirship, because again, I know a lot of you say, well, I'm just going to do an affidavit. Well, affidavits of heirship will work for some, but try to sell some property with an affidavit. They're not going to let you do it because you're going to end up, somebody's going to come back, they don't want to be sued because there was an heir that was missing. So they're going to say, no, we need a court order. We need a determination from a court. So a lot of people will transfer property with an affidavit, which you can get offline too and file it. People do it all the time, but when it's time to sell it, it's going to be very difficult. So you can transfer it, but I wouldn't advise that. You want to look there. She said she got some more questions.
Piggybacking on what Sister Tony said, okay, on the community property, if he or she had the property and married into, does that still work as?
It's called separate estate. So sometimes people have their own home before they get married, and that's called your separate property. And so just think that if you bought it before, it's still yours because it's classified at the time. So it becomes separate property. But then, and again, we get into family law a little bit, but if something happens between the two of you and you live there for 20 years, then husband can say, I helped to enrich the property. So it was this before. It cost $100,000 then, but now it's $500,000. Y'all know them taxes and went up. So $500,000 now. So he'll be able to have a claim for the for $200,000 of the four because it was enriched by $400,000. So those are claims that we make in court, when and if things don't always pan out. Yeah. Okay. All right. I'm glad y'all don't want to see me go. I love it. Okay. One more question, and they're gonna kill me if I'm late.
Both parents died, and the child, one, there's seven, but one child became the sole proprietor. Some person came in, went downtown, filed the property.
Oh, you made a good point. Okay, I remember something.
The property and said he did airship search, but the people that he airshipped to does not own the property.
Yeah.
So now he's gained.
That's a lawsuit. So I'm glad you brought that up. And the reason why, because the first thing I wanted to tell y'all when I was saying John Warren's office is if you're looking at Channel 8 News all the time, you see it's a lot of scams going on. On your birthday, I need y'all to go to Dallas CAD. It's Dallas County Appraisal District, but it's dallascad.org. Put your address in. You better make sure that your name is on that. And you do it every year because they are going down there doing false, and they do it to people who are older. They are really taking advantage of our elderly individuals, people are unaware. And especially if you have additional properties that you're not managing or you just kind of have them because, you invested in some other, or you moved and you still have that other house, be sure you're checking Dallas CAD. And if you know you don't get that tax statement from John Ames' office, you already know something wrong. So that tax statement comes like clockwork, doesn't it? But if you're not getting that, you need to check once a year to make sure that there has been no transfer. But thank you for saying that. But if that happens, you definitely want to act on it quickly, file a lawsuit. If that person is not the owner, that's what they do. When anybody, an investor or owner or someone trying to buy property, they're going to always do that property research. They're going to always do it. And so, again, your savvy, more formal people that are buying it, they better look it up because what can happen is a rightful heir can come back and sue and you're out of luck. So I do property hearings all the time and I'm getting into a whole nother subject, but y'all stop buying on Facebook Marketplace. Please don't do it. And Facebook Marketplace, especially things like vehicles, okay? So every week, these F-150s are being stolen like crazy. So they are just a hot commodity. This man paid $50,000 to a guy for an F-150. When you take it to get registered, you find out that the VIN does not match and it's stolen. That man lost I was like, how's he going to go back home and tell his wife that? $50,000 gone down the drain because I have to return the property back to the rightful owner. So whether that's Allstate because they paid your claim or the owner who had already paid it off, you don't get to buy property off that's stolen. So I'm just telling you, don't buy it. Go to the dealership, make sure it's legitimate. This your last question, woman. Otherwise, I'm going to start charging you. I'm glad. No, it's fine.
This is my mom, okay, and my grandparents left property, and my mom and a brother and a sister are the living siblings. Okay, so the siblings that have passed away, and they didn't. Okay,
So remember, it starts at, in Texas, it starts at grandma's kids. So if grandma had Gladys, Dorothy, and Annie, if Gladys passed away, her kids step into her shoes. So that's why it becomes a nightmare, which is why you want to go ahead and identify, because when it goes too far back and the heirs aren't identified, you don't lose it. It doesn't go to Dorothy and Annie. It goes to still the three. So the heirs step into the place of anybody who's deceased. So that's how property goes. It's called the laws of intestacy. There's a really nice chart if you just Google it. It's called the laws of intestacy in the state of Texas, and it'll tell you exactly how property flows. So this person gets it, then this person, but you don't eliminate. In some states, Gladys would be excluded because she passed. But if Gladys, in Texas, Gladys is not excluded, her heirs get to benefit from her piece. Okay, does that make sense?
Yes, so is it a certain time period?
No, it's forever. No. Yeah. Okay. All right, it's been a pleasure. Thank y'all for having me. Go Hutch, go Eagles. You're welcome. I hope I did okay.
She works with my brother, Judge Jones, and
Yes.
I have to let him know you did a wonderful
Oh,
job.
thank you.
What time?
Well, y'all have to invite me back, right?
We're gonna thank you
Thank
for
you.
coming to give us all this important information.
Yes.
My story was so long, I couldn't tell you about it, because the other person is in the house, and we're trying to get them out.
We can talk about that too. But anyway, anytime y'all need family or landlord or, I'm here. And y'all should take a field trip to the courthouse. It's really nice. Come see y'all's courthouse. All right.
We did that one. This is Chaplain, right? 10 o'clock. Chaplain Drew. This is me. Ladies, do y'all need to stand and stretch? Y'all good? Everybody needs to stand, stretch? You got 1 minute. All right. Have a seat. Thank y'all so much. I can pass them out for you. All right. All right. Thank y'all so much. That was a lot of information. Much needed information. And so thank you for your attentiveness. Thank you for your questions. My assignment is to introduce our next presenter this morning. What is a MPA, a medical power of attorney or advanced directive? Chaplain Stephanie Drew. Stephanie Elaine Drew was born and raised in Dallas, Texas, to the parentage of Robert and Dorothy Drew. Graduated from David W. Carter High School in 1978. Attended Jarvis Christian University, formerly known as Jarvis Christian College in Hawkins, Texas. Graduated with a Bachelor of Science degree in 1982, majoring in sociology and a minor in psychology. Attended Oral Roberts University of Theology in Tulsa, Oklahoma. Graduated with a Master's of Arts degree in 1984. Dean's List, top 20 students in seminary. That's a hard job, y'all. So tell me about it. Currently enrolled in Southern Methodist University, Doctors of Ministry program, anticipating 2 more years before the completion of her dissertation. Amen. Reverend Stephanie Drew is an ordained elder in the Christian Methodist Episcopal Church, where she currently is serving as the associate pastor of the Morning Chapel CME Church in downtown Fort Worth. She has been preaching and proclaiming the gospel for years and is a well sought out speaker for conferences and workshops. For over 12 years, she has served as a staff chaplain at Methodist Charlton Hospital in Oak Cliff. There, she is certified in mental health, first aid, crisis, incident stress management, and also in advanced care planning. She is very proud to have received her chaplain board certification. Congratulations. She is the proud mother of 3 adopted daughters and 3 beautiful granddaughters who affectionately call her Yaya. Will you please help me welcome Chaplain Stephanie Elaine Drew. God bless you. Thank you for coming.
Praise the Lord. Good morning. I'm excited to be here, and I'm honored to have been given the assignment to come today. And I am so, when I pulled up on the parking lot, I'm going to be honest, when I saw all the cars, I said, this is a good thing, because most people shy away from a conference or from information like this. But when I pulled up on the parking lot and I saw the cars, that lets me know that we want to know. We want to be informed about what's going on. I am Stephanie Drew, and I am a staff chaplain at Methodist Charlton on Wheatland in Dallas, Texas. And I've been the staff chaplain there. August will be 13 years. I've been a chaplain. I served the night shift for 8 years. I worked from 8 at night to 8 in the morning for 12 years. And I've been on the day shift since COVID. So I've done everything from palliative care, hospice, ICU, emergency department, you name it, oncology. I've been the chaplain to serve to meet the needs of the dying, the distressed, the traumatized, everything. I provide the spiritual care, and I've done that for over 12 years. And this topic is something that I do every day. I do every day, and that is address medical power of attorney and advanced care planning. What I see oftentimes is people waiting till they're in the palliative care, the non-responsive, non-verbal state, and families want their loved ones to sign a document that I can't agree to, that I can't allow you to sign, because I know you don't know who the President of the United States is. You don't know what day today is. You don't know what the year is or anything, but people they want their loved ones to sign a document. They wait till the person's on their deathbed, but we can't do it like that. It's documented their mental capacity, and I can't let you hold their hands to sign a document. We've got to do it now while we're in our cognitive state, while we're able to make those decisions. They're very important. I brought with me, that's being handed out, and I can get some more. Oh, okay. I brought with me an actual medical power of attorney, and I brought with me an advanced directive document. And we're going to, not until I tell you to, but we're going to pull them out and we're going to look at it. And it's so easy to do. It's so easy to fill out. And I'm here not for durable power, but for medical only. There is a difference. And a lot of people come in and they want bank statements and all of these property. We don't do that at the hospital. We're concerned about the medical welfare of the patient. Is that understood? We're talking about advanced care planning that's made easy. It's so easy to do. And today we're going to talk about the 4 Ds of advanced care planning. First, you need to decide what you want to happen to you when you come to the end of your life. And I want us all to, we're mature enough in here to know that from the day of my birth, from the moment I took my first breath, that an end is coming at some point. We just don't know when. We just don't know when. But when that time comes, you want it to be as smooth as possible. So you want to decide what you want to happen when you come to the end of your life. Decide Who is going to speak for you when you no longer can speak for yourself? And a lot of times people, we are so healthy, we think, well, that's never, it could happen to all of us. That you get to a point to where you no longer are able to make your own decisions. Who's going to speak up for you? Who has your best interest at heart? We need to think about those things now. You need to discuss with your family and doctors what your wishes are. And I heard the speaker before me, you know, you need to have that out-of-hospital DNR magnet on your refrigerator. If you don't want a JPEG, if you don't want a feeding tube, who knows that besides you? If you don't want your ribs cracked, if you don't want those things, who knows that besides you? You've got to have that discussion. But I believe once you have the discussion, you can have the confidence that it's taken care of. But you at least have to start somewhere. Decide what you want to happen at the end of your life. Decide who will speak for you. Discuss with your family and doctors what your wishes are. And then you've got to put the documentation in place. You can't just be in your head and in your thoughts. And even if you discuss it with somebody, it's just the word. You've got to have it documented. You've got to have that document in place. And don't hide your document. Make a copy. Share it with somebody else. Put it on file. Make sure that you have, the original is yours, but you make a copy and give it to somebody. You've got to trust somebody. You have to. Planning is the key. We plan for everything. We plan for retirement. We plan for weddings. We plan baby showers. We plan birthday parties. We plan gender reveals. We plan college education. We plan for everything but for death. And it's more a part of life than anything is. It's a guarantee. So we've got to plan for it as well. It's a major event that even though we don't look forward to it, it's still assigned to us. It's an absolute occurrence that is guaranteed to happen in everyone's life, and is the one discussion that we avoid. But we're here today, and what you receive today, pay it forward. The information that you receive today, share it with someone else. Don't just keep this wealth that you're going to get all day long. Pay it forward. And we're going to find out today when we walk to our cars, it won't kill you to talk about death. It will not kill you to talk about death. You're going to be okay, because none of us are going to get out of here alive. Studies have found that over 2/3 of all adults have nothing in writing. They don't have a will. They don't have a testament. They don't have a medical power of attorney. They don't have anybody assigned. Over 2/3. That's close to 70% of everybody alive has nothing in writing. Has nothing in writing. So when that time comes, they don't have a savings, they don't have a retirement, they don't have a burial plan, nothing. When that time comes, what's the new emergency when death occurs? They call it GoFundMe now. It's called GoFundMe. That's what we do now. That's what we do. Fish fries. We're gonna raise the money. When you can put these things in order now, you can get them in place now. We ought to let the fact that we know that this is coming, and as I'm looking around, we're seasoned saints. We're seasoned. Right now, we should be trying to live our best life. Live so that when that time comes, there's no regrets, there's no trying to put things in order. But know that aspect of your life is coming. It's a commonality that we all share. Advance directives. That is in advance giving the directive to your family and to the hospital and to that doctor what your wishes are. And there's only two things you want if you get into a critical state. If you need CPR, if your heart were to stop, or whatever the case may be, there's two things you want. Either you want to be full code or you want to be DNR. There's no in between there in a life or death situation. Either you say, I've lived my good life, I don't want to suffer, let me die naturally, let nature take its course. I just did before I left work yesterday, I just did a medical power of attorney of a lady in her 80s. She's making a decision. She knows that the time is coming. When that time comes, just It's called comfort care. Do what it takes to keep the pain from me. Give me all the morphine, give me everything I need to be comfortable. But I don't want to be on the tube. I don't want all this up my nose. I don't want a machine breathing for me. So don't resuscitate me. I've lived my life. Let me go peacefully. Or you're going to say, no, I got some more life to live. No. Do everything. Do everything you can do. I want to be full cold. Full cold. Crack my rib if you have to. Put that machine on me. Let it pump for me. Do what you can do. Pump all the epinephrine in me. Whatever you can do to restart my heart. You want those two things. But we're so afraid of dying. There are people who are terminal. I mean, their bodies have shut down. Their bodies are rejecting. Their bodies are ravished. And they still want to be full cold. In other words, I'm gonna go out on the ninth round. I'm not going out in round 1 or 2. You're going to keep on and keep on. I see it every day. I see it every day. They want to be full cold, And the amazing thing is, you'll see somebody who will DNR. I've seen so many miraculous things. You'll see someone who you would think, ooh, the angels are coming. They'll say, do not resuscitate. And miraculously, they live on. They live on. And someone who's seemingly healthy, do all the measures you can, and they can't make it. Because God is sovereign. God, not even the doctors can decide who's going to live. Who's going to live. So it's a phenomenon. But still, you decide now. All of us in here, we know what we want. And as I heard earlier, our family. Don't put your family through that distress that I witnessed, through having to call security to come get the family members because they're up there in the room, and I see they up there in the room arguing. So we got to call security to come get them because they can't get on one accord. Decide now who's the most mature, who really respects you, who listens, who can handle this thing. You can have it in writing, and somebody can say, oh, no, I want my mom. Oh, no, I don't want that. And it could be in black and white, and they'll renege on you and change their mind because their emotions won't let them do it, won't let them pull the plug. So who is going to, who has your thought pattern just like you do? You've got to select that person, and we're going to talk about that. And let's just go on and do it right now. Let's pull out this card here, making choices. This is talking about, it should be enough for everybody. The hospital calls, whoever you decide to make your decision, the hospital calls them your health care agent, the person who decides for you. Now remember, as long as I'm able to speak for myself, I can speak for myself. But if in the event I'm under a medical coma or under a trauma coma or whatever the reason that I can't speak for myself, then I have in writing, I have on file in records at the hospital, and you can take this to you can take your document to Parkland, you can take it anywhere in Texas, you can take it anywhere, but get it filled out. But you've got to sit down and have a conversation with somebody. And I pray that you don't need a dozen, you just need one good one. Somebody that you can trust, and a healthcare agent. And then this is, I'm going to say this before I go ahead. We've all lived long enough where somebody had to help us in an emergency, and we've had to help somebody in an emergency. I've been at the VA with my daddy. I've been at Methodist with my mother. I've had to make decisions when they came to the end of their life. And it's a hard thing to say, that's 3 rounds. Go ahead and stop. Go ahead and stop. You had to make the decision. We've lived long enough. If we haven't, it's coming. Somebody's going to make a decision for you, or you're going to make a decision for someone else. But what does it mean to be a healthcare agent? Let's look at it. You've been chosen by someone to be a healthcare agent. The following information explains what it means to be a healthcare agent and will help you to prepare for this important role. What is a healthcare agent? That's what it's called in the hospital. I'm my mama's caregiver. That's not what we call it. I'm my mama's favorite child. That's not what we call it. That's not what it's referred to. We call you a agent. You're a proxy. You're speaking their voice for them. A healthcare agent is a person chosen by a loved one, a family member, or a friend to make healthcare decisions, including end-of-life decisions, in the event a person is unable to make his or her own decisions. In most states, a doctor determines if a person is unable to make their own decisions. When I go into a room, oh, child, I'm looking at your mother. It's IVs everywhere. It's tubes up her nose. I'm looking at the machine your mother's on whatever. If your mother can't tell me that, then that's just your opinion. There's nothing I can do with it. If your mother can't open up her mouth and name Brenda as my daughter's gonna make my decisions, then I can't do nothing with the document. And they get mad at me when well, I'm sorry, but I can't do it. And when I walk out the room, they're mad, furious. Because, first of all, what I do on that particular day has to match what the doctor said in the file. If the doctor said this person's cognition is nothing, then I'm doing something illegal. On this day, on May the 10th or May the 11th, if I go into a document and the nurses and the doctors say this person doesn't have any cognition, there's no way I can do a document. And a notary would be illegal if they came in there and witnessed it. Because they didn't have the mentality to do it. So you got to be able to do these things now. We can't wait. Don't put it off. Don't put it off. Being a healthcare agent means that you may need to make healthcare decisions for someone who cannot think or speak for himself or herself. This is a very important role. Ask questions if you are unclear about your responsibilities as a healthcare agent. The person who has chosen you is expecting that you will make the decisions that he or she would make if they were able. He or she values and trusts you to do the right thing. Let's open up the packet and let's look at it. I want you to look at it. It's called Directives to Physician and Family or Surrogates. Let's look at it. It's called Directives to Physicians and Family or Surrogates. Oh, we need to make some more copies then. Okay, we need to make some more copies. Okay. It's in the state of Texas. In the state of Texas, yes. Yes. All right, they're going to make some copies. Let me just talk about this right now. Yeah, they need one. Oh, okay, let's copy those. That's a mistake. All right. Okay. This copy is an advanced directive. This is, and the key word is advance. I'm stating what I want in advance. I'm stating what I want before that time ever comes. It may not come, but if in the event my health were to take a turn, I've already let them know in advance what I want. I've let them know in advance what I want. In the first line it says, that's your name. You said, I recognize that the best healthcare is based on partnership and trust and communication with my physician. My physician and I will make healthcare decisions together as long as I am in sound mind and able to make my wishes known. If there comes a time that I'm able to make medical decisions about myself because of an illness or injury, I direct that the following treatment and preferences be honored. And like I said, in advance, there's only two things you're phenomenon to me that people read this, and I read this to patients, and they still will check it. It says, I request to be kept alive in terminal condition. I request to be kept alive in this terminal condition using available sustaining treatment. That means keep me full cold. I don't care if I got stage 4, whatever. Do what you can. And that is, some people need to, they want to, and I respect that. It's amazing, but you know, some people, they gotta wait till graduation, they gotta wait till something, some major life event, they just wanna hold on. So they keep me alive, do what you can. Then it says, if in the judgment of my physician I am suffering an irreversible condition so that I cannot care for myself or make decisions for myself and am expected to die without life-sustaining treatment, provided in accordance with prevailing standards of care, it's the same thing. I request that all treatments other than that made to keep me comfortable, comfort care, be discontinued. Either you're telling them in advance, do comfort care and let me go peacefully, or do everything you can to save my life. Now, the thing that I said I would do here, I want to let you know how many, and someone said it, every time you come to the emergency, you come here and don't feel well, they do all the documentation, they want to know, do you have an advance directive in place? Do you have a medical power of attorney? Because if you take a turn while you're there, who are we going to call? Who can we call about decisions on your behalf? So I want to ask the question and show of hands, how many have an advance directive in place? All right, better. So how many do not have one in place? Okay, I want to let you in on a secret. When she made those copies today, you can do it today. You can do it today. Because all you have to do is, you know at this point in your life what you want. You know if your life, if you, no, full cold, and it's just simple. Check it, full cold. And then on the back page it says, witness 1 and witness 2. As long as they're not related to you, they can witness it. As long, I couldn't witness it because I'm work. Amen. I'm an employee of Memphis, so I couldn't witness it. But any 2 people who are not related to you by blood can witness it. Make a copy, you keep the original, give the person who is your agent a copy, and you're good. Now, I don't care if everybody here is related, I don't think. You can do this today. You can put this in place today. It's that serious. You don't need to keep waiting. Because what you're going to do is say, oh, I'll go home and think about it. Amen. You're going to go home and put it away. You're going to put it away. You're going to push the thought further back. But you can do it today. Think about it. Now, it's not for people to tell you, girl, you want to be Tina? No. This is my advance directive. All I need you to do is witness it. That's all I'm asking you to do is witness it. Now, this is not the medical power of attorney. This is just you in your cognitive state saying, these are what my wishes are. Doctor, if I'm in your hospital and I take a turn, when I came in the register, I brought my copy with me. It's in my file. So this is what I want. Now, those who are in nursing homes or maybe older, it's always advised people who have medical conditions do an out-of-hospital situation. If you know you don't want to be resuscitated, and you know that that's not something, I don't want to go through all of that, I don't want to go through all that medical, I don't want to suffer. That's the word we use. I don't want to suffer. Then put this where somebody has to know that you think this. That this is what you wish for. These are my wishes. But if you take this and fill it out and stick it in the drawer, nobody knows. Nobody knows but you. Go ahead.
What if I feel out, do not, I get this, and I change my mind?
You change my mind, you have to recomplete, you have to do it all.
I'm in the hospital, like I might do it today, and then I'll get to the hospital 20 years from now, okay? And I say, I change my mind.
You change your mind. Then at that time, written down. Uh-huh.
But she's still alert oriented, you make that decision, then you have a right to change.
To change your mind, because you're alert and oriented.
Because this is you making that decision for you. So this is in case you
You
cannot
cannot speak for
speak for
yourself.
yourself. All of this paperwork is for when you can't
When you
speak for
can't,
yourself.
because when you speak for yourself,
Then you
no.
can say, I know I signed the DNR, but I still
Exactly.
want you to do everything
Yes, yes.
that you can for me. And that's why people need to know that DNR is not the end.
Yes.
Okay? Jim Clark got a DNR, he been on, hospice since February, here, right?
This is definitely in the event that you cannot speak for yourself. That's what a DNR is, that's what a medical power of attorney is, because life, it happens. It happens. And so for liability, lawsuits, what do you want? What do you want? And you know what, yeah, I'll say it. One of the strangest phenomena, I've had a case one time, EMS brought someone from a nursing home, and they didn't bring the paperwork, the nursing home didn't bring the paperwork. That patient